Hey crew, I've got the key to this 21 Polestar 2 Launch Edition. We are going to take it for a drive, but first let's check out how it looks on the inside and outside. For the 21 model year, there's only this fully loaded Launch Edition, but for 22, there's a front motor entry-level model and more individual options for your dual motor model. It's just fun to say. But styling is going to be the same between 21 and 22. So you've got your subdued body color matching Polestar badge, and that kind of subtlety is all throughout the vehicle, exterior and interior. Very geometric grille, pixel design LED headlights, and those Thor's hammer daytime running lights. Gloss black and your LED fog lights down here. This color is called Thunder Gray Metallic, and I think it's the best of the 6 muted exterior color options that Polestar offers on the two. I like this depression, this sculpted depression here on the hood. Probably my favorite design detail of the two. These wheels, standard 19-inch diamond cut alloys with gloss black inserts. If you upgrade for the $5,000 performance package, you'll get 20-inch wheels among other things, and better than the standard Michelin Primacy tires, 245 section at all 4 corners. Got a bit of a cut in there, down low in the doors, and that character line running nose to tail. You can see it raises up as the whole vehicle, the rump of it raises up, kind of blending the line between sedan and hatchback-ish crossover. I think it looks better than the Model 3, that's for sure, and the Model Y. Getting to the rear, piano gloss black window trim, and this LED taillight bar in like a double C here that looks really cool at night. At the back, sleek, contemporary, a bit too much black plastic cladding for my taste at this price point. Good looking exterior. Let's check out that interior. But let's quickly detour to the trunk. I'll show you the hands-free feature with the key fob on you. Swing your leg under the license plate cover and the hatch will open up pretty quickly to reveal 14 cubic feet of space, and a very cleverly packaged space at that. You've got this partition you can lift up to separate cargo, and you've got clips there and there, a strap to hold things down. Under the floor is a basin where you can fit a gym bag in my case. You've got tie-down points all around, grocery bag holders, a pass-through, and 60/40 split folding seats. Not easy to get to the releases there and there with the cargo cover on. LED illumination of the trunk, another strap here, DC socket, and netted cargo area to the right. In addition to the trunk, you've got a 1 cubic foot front trunk where you can store the charging cables. You can close the trunk or close and lock it. Pop this open for the charge port. If you have access to 150 kilowatt charging, it'll go from 0 to 80% in just 40 minutes. If you got level 2, it'll take 8 hours. If you've got level 1, you better set aside 22 hours. I'm gonna trick the car to thinking I'm here in it by pressing down on the seat cushion. That pops up the instrument cluster and infotainment. In the rear compartment, there's a panoramic glass roof with tinting and these quote-unquote Weavetech upholstered seats. Just feels like regular fabric to me. Ooh, with suede pieces. But it's the vegan alternative to the optional and upcharged Napa leather seats that I think would make the cabin more luxurious. Fabric on the doors. Fabric on the speaker covers for the 13-speaker Harman Kardon premium sound system. Get these metal dots on all the doors. One touch window is not working because my trick on the seat didn't work. But in the back, it only brings the window down to here. Half opening windows, very frustrating. Good solid feel to that door handle. Hopping in the back. Sitting behind my own driving position at 6 feet tall. I've got plenty of knee room. The foot pockets are nice and tall to slide my feet under. My head does clear the roof. Grab handle, laundry hook, illumination. Cool looking and feeling air vents, 2 USB-C ports here, and seat heating for the rear. Plus, cup holders, Very nice digs in the back. Let's check out the front now. Solid sound of that door close and no panel gap. The front seats also get the Weavetech treatment, but with more bolstering and manual adjustments for the thigh support, power adjustments for the seat, including 4-way lumbar, Polestar tread plates, more ornate metal caps, look at that. Power folding door mirrors, when you lock the car, they'll fold up and in. 2-position memory. Hopping inside, when my butt hits the cushion, screens will come on, there they go. You get a 12-inch, kind of reconfigurable gauge cluster, no head-up display, steering wheel controls left and right of the kind of harder plastic steering wheel cover. You have an 11.2-inch touchscreen infotainment running Google's Android Auto operating system, so not Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, both of which you have on the system, but an operating system from Google that's very easy to use. It's super responsive. You can find all the car settings here, your surround view camera system there, the tiles that you can adjust, apps that you can download, including Spotify. Hit this for your home button, and then you've got climate control settings here. Really easy to use, love it. Wireless charging for your smartphone, plus 2 USB-C ports, kind of hidden here, 1 and 2. The volume knob looks and feels very nice, and not a ton of controls. It's more minimalist, how's that for an oxymoron, than other Volvo vehicles. So you just have like your defrost settings, your hazards, and your volume there. Then the drive selector is this very cool shaped and cool feeling thing here with a Polestar logo illuminated there. And there's another one up here you can see better at night. There is open pore wood trim on the dash and here in the center. More fabric. It's a very cool looking cabin. And now it's time to drive it. Let's go. All right, it's a quick start in the Polestar 2 because you don't have an ignition button or a key or anything like that. So you just throw on your seatbelt, and if you have the key fob on you, hopefully you do, then you either engage reverse or drive by clicking up into reverse or pulling back into drive. We'll go to reverse. I don't know why I did it in that order. And then we can check out the surround view camera system. You just have your reverse view, or you've got the 360 view along with the different camera angles, left, right, and forward. And it is a nice wide angle. Add to that the standard rear cross traffic alerts. And you should be just fine getting out of a parking lot without incident. So as we can see here, we've got 93% charge and 230 miles of range. That should be plenty for these driving impressions. And the peak range, according to the EPA, is 233 miles for this launch edition configuration. That is not as much as you'll be seeing for the 22 model, with the addition of that heat pump and some other tweaks to the 78 kilowatt per hour battery pack. That you'll now have 249 miles in this dual motor setup and 265 miles if you choose the single front motor, which is only offered for the 22 model year. This powertrain configuration, we have 201 horsepower from each of the front and rear motors for a combined 402 horsepower and 487 pound-feet of torque, which is plenty, as I will now demonstrate. Oof. Of course, all of that power and torque is delivered instantly, and there is zero slip or hesitation off the line. So the 0 to 60 time for the Polestar 2 Launch Edition and Performance Pack is 4.1 seconds, says Car and Driver. They actually got 4.1 from the Performance Pack with its wider tires, but I imagine it's the exact same for this Launch Edition. You don't get any additional power with that Performance Pack, so it's going to be the same deal. And the performance It's a ton of fun. That just doesn't get old. The moment you get to just put your foot in it, and it reads so well. Brakes are good even though we don't have the performance packs. Brembos, oh my gosh, the push out of a corner. There's a nice initial bite. You don't get that characteristic regen mystery pedal thing. There's a confident stopping power there. And then as we saw, the push out of the corner is just a treat. Steering feel. So you have 3 different settings for that, which you can change at any time. Just go to the drive. I went to Google Maps. And you can go to firm, standard, or light. We'll go to firm here. Take this corner. But really all that's going to do is just add resistance to the rack. You don't get any more feel. And so there's something of a mystery as you turn the wheel. What's going to happen? You do have that very low center of gravity with the battery pack. And the suspension tuning, even from the standard suspension, is more on the performance side than the ride quality side, as we'll address in a second. But that does mean that the Polestar 2 is a hoot to hoon around it. And I'm going to leave it in one pedal drive off because we are now coasting on the highway. I'll go back to standard steering feel, and then I'm going to engage either the adaptive cruise control with lane keep assist or the pilot assistance, which is steering assistance. You can do that by hitting this button here on the steering wheel, then choosing left or right, whether you want the lane keep assist or pilot assist, and setting your speed and following distance with these buttons here. So I've set my speed, we've got the pilot assistance on, and so I'm going to just keep my hands hovering on the outside of the wheel and see how it does. We'll also see how long it'll let me do this. Okay, it wants me to hold the steering wheel already. And how well it's going to stay in the center of the lane. We got a curve up here. Hold the wheel, it says. Okay, I did that. Tracking it beautifully. Not jostling side to side in the lane markings at all. That's great. So I'm going to say about 10 seconds before it's going to beep at me and say you got to get your hands back on the wheel. But the system is working very, very well there. If you want to see just the lane keep assist, you can watch the POV night drive where I test that out. But these systems work very, very well, and they're all standard on this launch edition. This is the first time I'm kind of turning on the turn signal, and I want to point something out. It's one of the most interesting sounding turn signals I've ever heard. Let's also do a turning radius test here. Tidy. Not shockingly so, but it is tidy. And then you get that boost. But yeah, back to the turning signal. I'm just going to turn it on for just a second. It sounds like, it's a weird thought that just came to my head. It sounds a little like, you know, you got the bubble wrap and you're popping each of those individual bubbles. It sounds like that, which is satisfying, kind of. If you think of another sound that sounds like, please comment, because I'm so curious what you come up with. It's a satisfying sound that might get annoying, though. I'm not sure I would want to leave my turn signal on for too long in this vehicle. It's definitely not a background noise. It's sort of taking the foreground. Listen to me. And now that we are just cruising, I want to take a sec to address the ride quality. I mentioned it earlier on. So this does not have the adjustable O-lens dampers, which, as far as I understand, talking to my friends in the automotive industry who also reviewed this car with the O-lens dampers, they say the ride quality is even worse than this standard setup. And I say even worse on purpose because the ride quality is not so bad that it's like, don't buy the car. Like, this is totally something you could deal with. But it's firm. It is firm. And I'll tell you why I'm not super surprised. That's because Volvo vehicles across the board tend to ride firmer than their luxury competitors. Not in a way where you're like, just don't buy the car. It's just something you have to expect as you go in. Hope you find your way home, gentlemen. And so that, combined with the fact that pretty much every EV I've ever driven has ridden firmer than, I guess, what its ICE counterpart would be. Thinking the Tesla Model 3, competitor to this, that rides pretty firm, about as firm as this. Ford Mustang Mach-E, I would say it's probably among the better riding EVs I've driven. ID4, pretty firm. What else? What other EVs have I driven? Jaguar I-Pace was probably among the softer riding, but still firmer than typical ICE luxury vehicles. So I'm not super shocked that the ride quality is on the stiffer side, but it makes me feel like the performance pack version with the Öhlins dampers is probably not going to be something I'd even want to touch. I don't know what's sliding around down there. I thought I took everything out. Whee! But if the suspension firmness kind of falls below the luxury cred, I'm going to say that the cabin insulation is right there, as I would expect when you're looking at 62 grand as tested. The wind noise is kept pretty modest, and the road noise, especially on these tires, the 19-inch wheels with a bit thicker sidewalls, is also pretty darn good. So I'm going to say it checks the box as a luxury vehicle in terms of the cabin insulation and seat comfort. These seats, even though I would spend the extra money and get the Napa leather ones, the shape of the seats are very ergonomic, and the padding there is really very good. All right, I'm going to do a proper 0 to 60 here. Ooh, there it is. Yeah, that felt like the low 4 seconds. Now with all this quick acceleration tapping into the battery power, got to kind of check in on, and I'm going to change up the display, bring this front and center. You can see that we've, according to this range estimate, dipped 30 miles of range since when we started out. And that doesn't bode well for hitting the EP estimate of 233 miles. So I suppose the note here, and I have been driving it around just casually, more casually, and I was finding that isn't just in a silo there. I'm seeing the range be consumed more quickly than I would like to see, than I would expect. It's not a true mile to mile. It's saying 10 miles of range, and I'm actually getting more like 7. At this point, I'm going to use the standard setting of one pedal drive, and that is a pretty aggressive regen, such that I shouldn't have to put my foot on the brake. Okay, I was going too fast. I do have to put some brake into it, but it scrubs speed quite a bit so that you can really drive this vehicle with that single pedal if you learn it. If you learn the system, you learn when exactly you're going to want to take your foot off the gas to slow in time, it'll work out. So because I want to take this corner quickly, I'm going to take my foot off here, start into the corner, and then put it back on. And there is one more setting here for the one pedal drive. In low, it will apply some regen, but not nearly as much force as with the standard setting. And this is, I don't know if you've driven it, but a vehicle with a transfer case, that's kind of the level of parasitic loss you'd have from a vehicle with a transfer case. Kind of have that with the low setting of one pedal drive, and then you have creep that you can turn on or off. Turning it off means that it's basically like an auto hold function for an ICE car. But the ease at which these settings can be changed, just bringing up the menu so quickly, is very, very nice. You also have the ESC Sport mode, which I haven't tapped into at all, but I really should. We'll do that for a corner. So here we go, ESC in Sport mode. I'm probably not going to take this corner hard enough to need it, but lower the brake. There we go. There we go. That was fun. And it was super flat, super stable, very controllable. This is a vehicle I would actually want to go take to a canyon road. And I didn't expect that coming in. I knew physically the benefits of having the weight low down, all the power that was at my disposal, but I didn't expect the dynamics that the Polestar 2 is delivering, which are very good. It's especially without the performance pack, without those Brembo brakes, without the Öhlins dampers. This standard launch edition, and what that means is that the other versions that don't have the performance pack are going to handle pretty much this well, except for perhaps the front wheel drive version, which why did they choose, if you're going to take one motor out, if you're going to take, yes, one motor out, why would you take it out of the front, out of the rear, not in the front? I like what Tesla had done, where their short run, long range version was just rear drive. Why did Polestar do just a front drive? Thinking out loud here. I don't know. But the dual motor version, this is fun to hoon. Click that off. And thus concludes my drive and impressions in the 21 Polestar 2 Launch Edition. I think if we're going to wrap it up, put a bow on it, I'll say that 62 grand as tested is a chunk of change, and I would argue a bit too expensive. But this cabin, as a comparison, cabin and exterior, as a comparison to what you're getting in a Tesla Model 3, you're going to get more range, but the interior quality, the fit and finish, and the look, first of all, around me, everyone has a Model 3. The Polestar 2 is really bringing it in those ways. It's fun to drive, the infotainment's great, looks awesome, it's just a bit expensive. That's my take on it. So I would be looking at the non-launch edition 22 model, and I would spec it out with a bit more care so that you're not getting above 60 grand. If you can do that, I think I really like it. I like the Polestar 2. So with that, the only way to make the car turn off is just to open your door and get out. Hope you guys enjoyed these POV and drive impressions. I'll see you next time.